guys ready for me to talk about another show I put on the backlog for years that I'm finally going to watch because something new about it is coming out? Yeah, me too. Especially when it's a show that I've heard so much about for so many years, about some people really loving it, some people a bit more mixed on it, and some that really don't like it. Mainly just people that get easily offended. Karens and Susans and such. And not to mention this being one of the inspirations for Has Been Hotel, of course I had to talk about it. I mean, how can I not talk about it? But for years and years, I've wanted to talk about it. I've wanted to review it, but I just have not been able to find the time. But this year, f*** it. I am making the time because I have wanted to watch this show for a long time, and I am so glad that I'm finally making time to watch it. Now, for those of you that don't remember, this isn't the first time I have talked about this show, as I did, back in last February, review the Valentine's Day special, which I really liked, by the way. It was absolutely hilarious and surprisingly heartwarming, despite very crude humor and very, very, very gory. I still really liked it. I still really enjoyed that Valentine's Day special. It was a lot of fun. So, now that I'm watching the actual show itself, what do I think about it? Well, the best way I can see to take a look at this show is to go through it season by season and just give my overall thoughts more so than episode reviews. Because since I'm already doing episode reviews for Drake and Josh this month, I'm kind of on a tight schedule. So, yeah, I'm going to make these ones a bit more of an overall summary, more so than going into every single little aspect. So, yep, if I have time, I might do episode reviews another time, but it probably won't be till at least 2026. So, without further ado or delay, now that I have finished the first season of this show, let's talk about why it's badass and you need to be watching it right now, and why it is one of the only shows to survive the sad animation purge happening on Max. Yep, that's a real thing. So let's talk about it. What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Anime Station, your number one station for animation, including a crazy itch trying to take over the world, as well as TV and movies. I'm your host, Jadson Small. I'm still workshopping it. Please excuse me. Welcome to my review of the first season of DC's Harley Quinn. DC's one of their first ventures into televised adult animation. Now, let me give you a little bit of background here. Usually, I think most adult animation is pretty bad. Like, the first few seasons of Family Guy were fine, but then after that, it turned shit. Then, Simpsons bored the fuck out of me. And then Bob's Burgers is fine, but not really my kind of thing. And South Park's fucking terrible. And Rick and Morty, the sad descent of Rick and Morty is really something that needs to be studied by humankind, because how did they fuck that up? Anyway, point is, not a big fan of adult animation, and I've tried to stay away from it because I know exactly what to expect. Crude, crass humor, gore for the sake of exploitation, and trying to be topical about things just for the sake of pissing people off. That's pretty much what most adult animation is. Now, I'm not saying you can't do things artistically with that. I'm just saying it's difficult to do things like that without coming off as repetitious. So, however, I have opened my eyes a bit more to adult animation in recent years. I've freaking adored the Helliverse. I loved Hell of a Boss. I adored Has Been Hotel. And I've decided to open up a little more. Not to mention, this is another one of those shows that ends up veering into the direction of LGBTQ representation, done correctly, at least from what I've been told. So, yeah, I think that's a long enough basis to give you for the reason why I was hesitant to watch this show until now. But with the 5th season on the way and being one of the only shows animation related that's still on Max and not being purged by the idiots at WB, I think it's time we give it a fair look and see how it shakes. I just made a really bad joke. I'm so sorry. Also, another little piece of background info. Harley Quinn's one of my favorite characters in all of DC. Second only to probably Batman, because, he's Batman. But I've always loved Harley and how chaotic, psychotic, and just off-the-wall batshit insane she is most of the time. Not to mention, she is a well-developed, well-made character, and I also really like how she was originally introduced in an animated series rather than a comic book. I mean, it was because of Batman the Animated Series that we got this version of Harley Quinn, so, I mean, we owe it to that alone. So, yeah, I'm a big Harley fan, I'm a big Batman fan. This is something that kind of involves both of them. It's adult animation, it tries to aim for a more higher aged audience. How does it work? Well, if this first season's anything to go off of, pretty damn well. So, I have a pretty long written review for this one. I apologize for the long preamble, but I just wanted to set up, my personal thoughts going into it. So, yep, here's my review for the first season of Harley Quinn. I hope you enjoy. After years and years of hearing about this series, and having really enjoyed the Valentine's Day special that I reviewed last February, and with the fifth season on the way very, very soon, it's finally time to check it out and see which side of the fence I'm on. Like I said, some people like it, some people don't, some people are kind of in the middle. And after finishing an all-night binge of the first season, yes, I watched the entire thing in one night, I gotta say that it's off to a spectacular start. Season 1 of this show absolutely rocks. The characters are great, especially Harley herself, who more than proves herself capable of the starring role, and one of the funniest versions of Batman that I've ever seen from DC. Yes, that's including Lego Batman. Voiced by Diedrich Bader, who, for those of you who don't know, is also the voice of Batman in Batman the Brave and the Bold, so it's kind of like a funny in-joke of what that Batman would do if he wasn't restricted. It's funny. That's all I'm just going to say. It's super funny. The animation is excellent and really shows how great 2D animation still is. Yes, they use 3D CGI for the blood, I know, but most of this is still traditional 2D animation in that usual DC animated series style, with obviously a few changes. But still, really good. Harley's character arc of escaping Joker's shadow and learning about friendship was fantastic and surprisingly heartfelt, despite the fact that it's Harley Quinn we're talking about here. The writing is surprisingly clever, the action was awesome with surprisingly plenty of visual gore to enhance the effective brutality. Like, this one is just as, if not even more gory than Hell of a Boss and Hazbin Hotel combined. Like, this show, it does not hold back on the blood and gore. Like, it is very bloody, it is very brutal, and you see a lot of crazy fucked up shit. It's so good. It is so freaking good. The dialogue, while very crass, it does come with the territory of being adult animation, so you still get a lot of swear words, a lot of F-bombs, a lot of sex jokes. Yeah, you still get a lot of that. And it's full pop culture references. It's surprisingly both funny and full of wit. Like, this show surprised me with how funny it was. Like, it started out a little funny with the first 2 episodes, and then when it really got going, I was laughing my ass off almost every 5 minutes. It is surprisingly very funny and very well written. The emotional moments hit pretty hard, especially the finale. I'm not going to say why, just see it for yourself. The voice acting from the likes of Diedrich Bader and Tom Kenny was outstanding. Like, this show has a lot of DC regulars all throughout, and the rewatchability is pretty damn high. However, this does come with a few issues that not even Harley's twisted mind could purge. The story, while overall solid, does very often feel like an off-the-wall acid trip, with its constant chaotic shifting between different heists or settings with a sense of franticness, which I'm pretty sure is the point, since this is a show following the villains more so than usual heroes. The usual heroes are very much background characters, so it's supposed to feel more unhinged and a lot like Harley Quinn herself. But I can see why some people might be disinterested by that lack of coherency in the storytelling. Like, don't go to this expecting high art, because that's not what you're gonna get. It's an off-the-wall, crazy, batshit, insane, just crazy fest. The runtime is very long at 22 minutes per episode, which, when all 13 are put together, totals to around 4 to 5 hours. Yeah, if you're gonna binge this show, you gotta make the time and prepare yourself for a long sit. A few episodes do have their fair share of padding and/or tedious exposition dumping, which at times can be a bit much. Like, for example, There's one episode where Harley goes back to her family, and then there's another episode where they go into Harley's mind. Then there's another episode where they try to keep doing all this crazy shit to take over Gotham and get her into the Legion of Doom, which is her big goal. And every now and then a joke can be hit or miss, or it can be a little too crass. I'm not a prune or anything. I mean, like I said, I fucking adore the Helliverse. But my point is, it is very crass and very adult, and you're going to get a lot of that all throughout this show. And if you're someone that doesn't like that, you're not going to like this. But if you can tolerate it, it is definitely worth watching. However, despite those blemishes, this has still left an absolutely phenomenal first impression on me. Sure, it's not for everyone, and it is very, very adult. I cannot emphasize that enough. Very adult show. But as someone who doesn't like the grand majority of adult animation for numerous reasons that I listed earlier, I really dug this one. It's witty, charming, action-packed, stylish, funny, gory, surprisingly heartfelt, and very entertaining. Can't wait to see Season 2. To put it simply, Harley Quinn, for me, is an absolute ace. Final verdict for Harley Quinn Season 1 is a high, well-deserved, but still rough around the edges, 8 out of 10. I can see now why this show is such a big popular thing, and why it has lasted up to 5 seasons now. I cannot wait to review Season 2, which should be out tomorrow, but that's going to do it for me for now. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. I apologize for the one F-bomb that slipped out there, but point is, this show is absolutely kick-ass, and you need to check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Yes, it is a very long watch, yet it has its fair share of rough edges. But for a first season, in a show that usually is not for my kind of crowd, I really dug this one, guys. Like, yes, it's not better than Hazbin Hotel or Hell of a Boss, but it's not supposed to be. It's the first season. You gotta get your bearings somewhere. So, yep. That's going to do it for me. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please check this show out. It's on Max. It is more than worth your time. And I'll see you guys next time when we continue the chaos with Season 2 of Harley Quinn.
Lesson I want to forget. So listen and you won't regret. Be true to yourself. Don't miss your chance. And you won't end up like the fool who ran.